we'll use this microphone. Okay, so we'll use this microphone then, which is on the laptop. Alright. So I'm going to go, sorry guys, I'm going to go ahead and restart. So, as I was saying, we've been getting through the book of Exodus, and Moses has been instructed on what to do, on how to create things as like utensils and stuff for the tabernacle, and how to create like the actual Ark of the Covenant. But then we left off with plans for like incense of the altar, money for the tabernacle, the plans of the wash basin, the anointing oil, the incense, the instructions for the Sabbath. Well, now we're getting into Moses is up there talking with God, and today we're going to read chapters 32, 33, and 34. Now, while he's up there on the mountain, when the people saw how long it took, how long it was taking Moses to come down the mountain, they gathered around Aaron. "Come on," they said. "Make us some gods who can lead us. We don't know what happened to this fellow Moses, who brought us here out of the land of Egypt." So Aaron said, "Take the gold rings from your ears, from the ears of your wives, your sons, your daughters, and bring them to me." All the people took the gold rings from their ears and brought them to Aaron. Then Aaron took the gold and melted it and shaped it into a calf. When the people saw it, they exclaimed, "Oh, Israel, these are the gods who brought you up out of the land of Egypt." Aaron saw how excited the people were, so he built an altar in front of the calf. Then he announced, "Tomorrow will be a festival to the Lord." Well, the people got up early the next morning to sacrifice burnt offerings and peace offerings. And after this, they celebrated with feasting and drinking, and they indulged in pagan revelry.
What's that?
They were doing things that was against God. They were worshiping and doing all kinds of stuff towards other gods. Okay? Well, God saw this, and the Lord said to Moses, "Quick! Go down the mountain. Your people, who you brought up out of the land of Egypt, have corrupted themselves. How quickly they have turned away from the way I commanded them to live. They have melted down gold and made a calf, and they have bowed down and sacrificed to it. They are saying, 'These are your gods, O Israel, who brought you out of the land of Egypt.'" Then the Lord said, "I have seen how stubborn and rebellious these people are. Now, leave me alone so my fierce anger can blaze against them, and I will destroy them. Then I will make you, Moses, into a great nation." But Moses tried to pacify the Lord, his God. "Oh Lord," he said, "why are you so angry with your own people, whom you brought from the land of Egypt with such great power and such a great hand? Why let the Egyptians say their God rescued them with the evil intention and slaughtering them in the mountains of wiping them from the face of the earth? Turn away from your fierce anger. Change your mind about this terrible disaster you have threatened against your people. Remember your servant Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. You bound yourself with an oath to them, saying, 'I will make your descendants as numerous as the stars of heaven, and I will give them all of this land that I have promised to your descendants, and they will possess it forever.' So the Lord changed his mind about the terrible disaster he had threatened to bring upon his people. When Moses turned and went to the mountain, he held in his hands the 2 stone tablets inscribed with the terms of the covenant. They were inscribed on both sides, front and back. These tablets were God's work. The words on them were written by God himself. When Joshua heard the boisterous noise of the people shouting below them, he exclaimed to Moses, "It sounds like a war in the camp." But Moses replied, "No, it is not a shout of victory, nor the wailing of defeat. I hear the sound of celebration." When they came near the camp, Moses saw the calf and the dancing, and he burned with anger. He threw the stone Yep.
So he hasn't came down the mountain at all.
Okay, so he threw the stone tablets at the ground, smashing them at the foot of the mountain. He took the calf that they had made and burned it. Then he grounded that calf. After he burned that, right? He grounded it into powder and threw it in the water and forced the people to drink it. Finally, he turned to Aaron and demanded, "What did these people do to you to bring such terrible sin upon them?" "Don't get upset, my lord," Aaron replied. "You yourself know how evil these people are. They said to me, 'Make us gods who will lead us.' We don't know what happened to this fellow Moses who brought us up out of the land of Egypt. So I told them, 'Whoever has gold jewelry, take it off.' When they brought it to me, I simply threw it into the fire, and out came this calf." Moses saw that Aaron had let the people get completely out of control, much to the amusement of their enemies. So he stood at the entrance to the camp and shouted, "All of you who are on the Lord's side, come here and join me." And all the Levites gathered around him. Moses told them, "This is what the Lord, the God of Israel, says. Each of you take your swords and go back and forth from one end of the camp to the other. Kill everyone, even your brothers, your friends, and neighbors." The Levites obeyed Moses' command. About 3,000 people died that day. They were worshiping other gods. They were supposed to be God's special people. And instead of having that faith, they decided to bow down to this golden calf. Okay? So, Moses gave them a chance. Anyone who's on God's side, come over here. Teresa, even if you screwed up, you know you screwed up. And God's giving you a chance. And he's like, just if you're on God's side, just come with me. Come over here. He didn't say this, but it's almost like, I know you screwed up, but if you're on God's side, just come over here. So anybody who came over here, they were saved. Okay? Anybody who didn't, they died. 3,000 people died. Well, lost my spot here. There we go. Then Moses told the Levites, "Today you have ordained yourselves for the service of the Lord. For you obeyed him even though it meant killing your own sons and brothers. Today you have earned a blessing." Next day Moses said to the people, "You have committed a terrible sin." So even though they were saved from that, you still committed the sin. Okay? "But I will go back up to the Lord on the mountain. Perhaps I will be able to obtain forgiveness of your sin." So Moses returned to the Lord and said, "Oh, what a terrible sin these people have committed. They have made gods of gold for themselves. But now, if you will only forgive their sin, but if not, then erase my name from the record you have written. But the Lord replied to Moses, no, I will erase the name of everyone who has sinned against me. Now go, lead the people to the place I told you about. Look, my angel will lead the way before you. And when I come to call the people to account, I will certainly hold themselves responsible for their sins. Then the Lord sent a great plague upon the people because they worshipped the calf Aaron had made. Any questions on that chapter? Yes?
Did Aaron die too?
No.
Okay.
All right, chapter 33. The Lord said to Moses, get going, you and the people you brought up out from the land of Egypt. Go up to the land I swore to give Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. I told them, I will give this land to your descendants, and I will send an angel before you to drive out the Canaanites, the Amorites, Hittites, Perizzites, Hivites, and Jebusites. Go up to this land that flows with milk and honey, but I will not travel among you, for you are a stubborn and rebellious people. If I did, I would surely destroy you along the way. When the people heard these stern words, they went into mourning. They were crying so hard and stopped wearing their jewelry and fine clothes. For the Lord had told Moses to tell them, you are a stubborn and rebellious people. If I were to travel with you, even for a moment, I would destroy you. Remove your jewelry and fine clothes while I decide what to do with you. So, from the time they left Mount Sinai, the Israelites wore no more jewelry or fine clothes. It was Moses' practice to take the tent of meeting and set it up some distance from the camp. Everyone who wanted to make a request of the Lord would go to the tent of meeting outside the camp. Whenever Moses went out to the tent of meeting, all the people would get up and stand in the entrance of their own tents. They would all watch Moses until he disappeared inside. As he went into the tent, the pillar of cloud would come down and hover at its entrance, while the Lord spoke to Moses. When the people saw the cloud standing at the entrance of the tent, they would stand and bow down in front of their own tents. Inside the tent of meeting, the Lord would speak to Moses face to face, as one speaks to a friend. Afterwards, Moses would return to the camp, but the young man who assisted him, Joshua, the son of Nun, not Nun as in N-O-N-E, like he's got none, like Nun as in N-U-N. That was his dad's name, son of Nun. Right? Joshua would remain behind the tent of meeting. One day, Moses said to the Lord, you have been telling me, take these people up to the promised land, but you haven't told me whom you will send with me. You have told me, I know you by name, and I look favorably on you. But, if it is true that you look favorably on me, let me know your ways, so I may understand you more fully and continue to enjoy your favor. And remember that this nation is your very own people. The Lord replied, I will personally go with you. Like God's like, I myself, I'm just going to go with you. Okay? So I will personally go with you, Moses, and I will give you rest. Everything will be fine with you. Then Moses said, If you don't personally go with us, don't make us leave this place. How will anyone know that you look favorably on me, and on your people? If you don't go with us if you don't go on your people, if you don't go with us. For your presence among us sets your people and me apart from all the other people on earth. The Lord replied to Moses, I will indeed do what you have asked, for I look favorably on you, and I know you by name. Moses responded, then show me your glorious presence. The Lord replied, I will make all my goodness pass before you, and I will call you out by name, Yahweh, before you. Yahweh, God's name. Before you. For it's a translation. Like God with you, God, kind of stuff. Yahweh, the name is actually a lot deeper in that, but over time I'll explain it to you, okay? For I will show mercy to anyone I choose, and I will show compassion to anyone I choose. But you may not look directly at my face, for no one may see me and live. The Lord continued, look, stand near me on this rock. As my glorious presence passes by, I will hide you in the crevice of the rock and cover you with my hand until I have passed by. Okay, so like you stand on this rock, and as I pass by, I will cover you as I pass by. Okay? Then I will remove my hand and let you see me from behind. Oh, that changed. It just totally. Okay, so I will remove my hand and let you see me from behind, but my face will not be seen. Any questions on that chapter?
Nope.
34.
Wait.
What? Silly girl. Alright, 34. Then the Lord told Moses, chisel out 2 stone tablets like the first ones. I will write on them the same words that were on the tablets you smashed. So both times God wrote on the tablets, not Moses.
Oh.
I thought Moses did the first one and then God did the second one. I was wrong. Okay, so be ready in the morning to climb up Mount Sinai and present yourself to me on the top of the mountain. No one else may come with you. In fact, no one else is to appear anywhere on the mountain. Do not even let the flocks or herds graze near the mountain. So Moses chiseled out two stone tablets of So Moses chiseled out 2 tablets of stone like the first ones. Early in the morning he climbed Mount Sinai on the as the Lord had commanded him, as he carried the 2 stone tablets in his hands. Then the Lord came down in a cloud and stood there with him. And he called out his own name, Yahweh. The Lord passed in front of Moses, calling out, Yahweh, the Lord, the God of compassion and mercy. I am slow to anger and filled with unfailing love and faithfulness. I lavish unfailing love to 1,000 generations. I forgive iniquity, rebellion, and sin. But I do not excuse the guilty. I lay the sins of the parents upon their children and grandchildren. The entire family is affected. Even children in the 3rd and 4th generations. Moses immediately threw himself to the ground and worshipped, and he said, Oh Lord, if it is true that I have found favor with you, then please travel with us. Yes, this is a stubborn and rebellious people, but please forgive our iniquity and our sins. Claim us as your own special possession. The Lord replied, listen, I am making a covenant with you in the presence of all your people. I will perform miracles that have never been performed anywhere in all the earth or in any nation. And all the people around you will see the power of the Lord, the awesome power I will display for you. But listen carefully to everything I command you today. Then I will go ahead of you and drive out the Amorites, Canaanites, Hittites, Pezerites, Hivites, and Jebusites. Be very careful never to make a treaty with the people who live in the land where you are going. If you do, you will follow their evil ways and be trapped. Instead, you must break down their pagan altars, smash their sacred pillars, and cut down their Asherah poles. You must worship no other gods, for the Lord, whose very name is jealous, is a God who is jealous about his relationship with you. You must not make a treaty of any kind with the people living in the land. They lust after their gods, offering sacrifices to them. They will invite you to join them in their sacrificial meals, and you will go with them. Then you will accept their daughters, who sacrifice to their gods, as wives for your sons. And they will seduce your sons to commit adultery against me by worshiping other gods. You must not make any gods a molten metal for yourselves. You must celebrate the festival of unleavened bread. Hey, that can be shared. You gotta turn the wrong way. This way. That's your corner. That's your corner. Yeah. There you go. Okay. You must celebrate the festival of unleavened bread. For 7 days, the bread you eat must be made without yeast, just as I have commanded you. Celebrate this festival annually at the appointed time in early spring, in the month of Abib, which says about around March and April. For that is the anniversary of your departure from Egypt. The the firstborn of every animal belongs to me, including the firstborn males from your herds of cattle and your flocks of sheep and goats. A firstborn donkey may be bought back from the Lord by presenting a lamb or a young goat in its place. But if you do not buy it back, you must break its neck. However, you must buy back every firstborn son. No one may appear before me without an offering. You have 6 days each week for your ordinary work, but on that 7th day you must stop working, even during the seasons of plowing and harvest. You must celebrate the Festival of Harvest. That's the name. It's called Festival of Harvest. With the first crop of the wheat harvest, and celebrate the Festival of the final harvest at the end of the harvest season. 3 times each year, every man in Israel must appear before the sovereign, the Lord, the God of Israel. I will drive out the other nations ahead. You all right?
Dad, it's Festivus.
Festivus for the rest of us. Did you aspirate that?
Yeah,
Is that alright?
basically.
Cough it out, don't laugh.
No, I mean, like, you said, right, it's just,
You good? Almost. Alright. Alright. 3 times each year, every man in Israel must appear before the sovereign Lord, or the sovereign, the Lord, the God of Israel. I will drive out the other nations ahead of you and expand your territory. No one will covet and conquer your land while you appear before the Lord your God 3 times each year. You must not offer the blood of any sacrificial offerings together with any baked goods containing yeast. And none of the meat of the Passover sacrifice may be kept over until the next morning. So, no leftovers for the next morning. As you harvest your crops, bring the very best of the first harvest to the house of the Lord your God. You must not cook a young goat in its mother's milk. Twisted a little bit, but I mean, it kind of makes sense.
Boy. How do you know it's its mom? How are you gonna know that's the mom? Because
You are running this farm.
if it
You
has
should be having a count of your animals and who and what the animals are. Okay?
what if you
So the
don't-
mother's milk of it, okay? Don't cook the young goat in that.
So like if you just buy a baby calf and then like not calf but baby goat and then just like get from your
If you're gonna cook a baby calf, do it in somebody else's milk, not its own mother's milk. Then the Lord said to Moses, okay, so you know how a lot of some of our ingredients when we have like different types of meat or like beef or whatever, and we add milk and water or this or
Yeah.
that to it and all. That's what it's talking about, okay? So if you're gonna have this young goat's meat for supper, okay, when you mix it in with everything else, make sure the milk you're using didn't come from that young goat's mom.
What happens if it did?
Well, he's telling you not to do it. He didn't say what's going to happen. He's telling you not. Okay.
if you do, it's probably good.
Now, then the Lord said to Moses.
Sorry.
Then the Lord said to Moses, write down all these instructions, for they represent the terms of the covenant I am making with you and with Israel. Moses remained there on the mountain with the Lord 40 days and 40 nights.
Like half a mom.
Well, that a lot of people is going to start losing faith in him for that, because they think, oh, you're up there and you have no food, no water. You know, so that's when problems is going to happen as well.
I thought it was 40
And-
years.
No, 40 years is in the desert, and we'll get to that later.
Oh.
Okay, so in all that time, so in all these 40 days and 40 nights, in all that time, he ate no bread, drank no water, and the Lord wrote the terms of the covenant, the 10 Commandments, on the stone tablets. When Moses came down Mount Sinai carrying the 2 stone tablets inscribed with the terms of the covenant, he wasn't aware that his face. Now, this is amazing. Listen to this. So remember, he is talking to God face to face. God himself, okay? You listening?
Back to free.
Moses is talking to Moses.
Moses talking to Moses.
Moses is talking to God.
What?
He's been up there for 40 days and 40 nights. Guess what happens to Moses?
Can I,
He goes
oh,
younger.
can I guess?
He doesn't
Guess?
die.
I want to guess, can I? You already
Yes.
know. I think he's been up there and hanging out with him too much to the point where his face glows.
He
I
wasn't aware that his face had become radiant
No
because he had spoken to the Lord. So when Aaron and the people of Israel saw the radiance of Moses' face, they were afraid to come near him. But Moses called out to them and asked Aaron and all the leaders of the community to come over, and he talked with them. Then all the people of Israel approached him, and Moses gave them all the instructions the Lord had given him on Mount Sinai. When Moses finished speaking with them, he covered his face. Hey, after Moses was done speaking with them, he covered his face with a veil. But whenever he went into the tent of meeting to speak with the Lord, he would remove the veil until he came out again. Then he would give the people whatever instructions the Lord had given him, and the people of Israel would see the radiant glow of his face. So he would put the veil over his face until he returned to speak with the Lord. Any questions?
No.
Well, that's pretty neat. Being up there with God, talking to him for over a month, and then all of a sudden you just glow, and all of a sudden you're hear your own flashlight at night.
Yeah, and then you don't need to have any more flashlights.
All right. So,
the Human Torch.
huh?
The Human Torch.
Yeah.
Fantastic Four.
Yeah,
All right. So if there's no questions, we'll try and we'll be on tomorrow. Other than that, you guys have a great night and God bless.